Hey folks, do you like podcasts?
Do you have hobbies?
Well, here's the show for you.
The Hobby Shop Talk Podcast.
Featuring childhood friends
And old school noobs.
Luke and Matt.
Hello, everyone. This is Matt, and this is the Hobby Shop Talk podcast, and we are on episode 15. And joining me, as always, is Luke. How you doing, Luke? Just after Christmas here.
Yeah, we got quite the snowfall here today, and a couple days ago we had like freezing snow or freezing rain / sleet snow. So yeah, it's been good weather here.
Did we talk about the tornadoes? Was that? I bet we haven't. I mean, we actually had ice tornadoes.
Yeah, we did,
And-
which Matt can tell you
And I was to say,
he's kind of prophetic, a prophet
yeah,
because
that's what I was
he
gonna
wrote
say.
about this.
I don't want to even spoil the comic book for all you that'll be reading this in the future, but like a year ago, I actually wrote down Ice NATO for some reason because I wrote down Ice Tornado, and we just had the first recorded ever tornadoes in Minnesota in December. It was literally Ice NATOs. I think there was like 12 tornadoes or something like that. That actually, I don't know, something crazy.
Well, I mean, even where there weren't tornadoes, like the winds were like 60, 70 miles an hour or something. I don't remember,
Yeah.
but I remember just looking out the windows like, holy crap. And yeah, everything was moving pretty quick.
Yeah. So, anyways, I prophesized that. Anyways, and then now we have a snowstorm. And then yesterday in the snowstorm, my car broke down. So I was able to plow through the 6-7 inches of snow we had and drive into town to record the podcast. And car started shaking more and more. And finally, it felt like something like fell or something, and I was dragging something, and that's what it kind of felt like. So I'm like, this ain't good. So I pulled over and looked, and oil was pouring out of the bottom of my Jeep, and I knew that wasn't good. I ended up having to sit there for an hour in the blizzard, and finally had somebody from the store, Jim, pick me up. So thanks, Jim, and brought me to the store. And so I've been here since yesterday. I actually slept at the store for the first time, so that was different.
Yeah, did you have anything, like, do you have a cot there or anything, or what did you do?
No, I slept on the floor up in our newly converted gameplay room where we play games of Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Up there. So we have it, used to be our inventory room. Now we've cleaned it out and have it as a kind of cool playroom. We have a TV and we're putting LED lights and everything. But anyways, I slept up there on the floor with my jacket. And then one of my sheets that is used for a game table is a blanket. And so the funny thing is we have really nice cots at home, so I will be bringing one here since we do live in Minnesota, and like today we're gonna have another handful of inches of snow if I ever need to stay at the store.
Did that remind you of your drinking days when you would sleep on the floor with your jacket on?
Yeah, jacket or just jacket as a pillow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And also the weird part is I live in the country now and it's so quiet to have to hear the right on a busy highway. And the first time it happened, I was half asleep. It's like the whole building shook when a big truck went by. And so that was different. That's freaked me out the first time. But anyway, so, I mean, at least I got a place to be. So, I'm at the store. And we just had Christmas, which I mentioned. So I figured I'd start off I guess I don't even know the answer to this. But did you get any cool nerd or geek culture-related things for Christmas?
Well, we got our kids a Nintendo Switch, so I mean, basically it was for me because I can play it whenever I want. So.
There's some sweet RPGs and different things that that I've wanted to play on.
Yeah, we haven't.
What games did you get?
We got more kid ones. So we got like Sonic and Mario Olympics, which is actually pretty fun so far. We got Hot Wheels Racing, Sonic Colors, and then one more game that I can't think of right now, but I'm going to get Ultimate Alliance 3, I think, so I can play with Tyler and AJ have that one. And yeah, there's some other cool ones. I think Fortnite's free on there, so might try to play that some more. We'll see.
So we do like a Christmas list just so, each of us knows what they want. So I'd put a bunch of trade paperbacks just because, I'm thinking about the future of the podcast here when I'm doing that. So I got Black, and I'm going to talk about... I'm not going to go through. Maybe I'll... actually, I will later. I'll say that. I'm going to read just the little things because I'm going to have you pick which one I should read for the next episode, just because it's too tough for me to decide.
Oh, cute.
So I got Black Hammer, which these were some that are pretty highly rated or looked after independent comics, except for this one here, which I'll mention next.
So non-milk toast.
Yes. But ones that I've wanted to read a long time. So I just put the first of each of them, so I at least would have the trade paperback and could talk about the first, say 6 issues, and then again decide if I want to keep going. So first was Black Hammer, and again I'll read through the little blurbs when we get to the comic books. But I got the Joker by James Tynion. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I should figure that out. But the reason I got that is I love the Joker, probably my favorite villain. But also James Tynion has some of my favorite other series that I've read. So since he's doing the Joker, I had to get that. The Wicked and the Divine. That's Image is another one of those that's pretty thought after. And then Preacher, I mean, is just a classic. That is now, I think on Netflix or one of those.
I think it's AMC it was on, wasn't it?
Is it?
The same as The Walking Dead.
Yeah, that could be. And I haven't watched the show, and now I'm going to have the book 1 of The Preacher. And then Irredeemable. So this is a superhero one that's a non-milquetoast superhero comic. Another one that's pretty highly rated. So yeah, I got all those, the first volumes of all those. So I'm going to be talking about those in upcoming shows. So, well, with the that banter and the little updates there, we got to get into first some Magic. And
no, first we got to get the sports out of the way, so they can just fast forward if they don't want to hear about our crappy Minnesota Vikings blowing another important game.
Yeah,
but also the Bills won, so they had a rematch with the Patriots at Gillette Stadium and dominated them. So that was pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, and they I think I just blocked this part out because of the Vikings and what they do to us every single year. But yeah, so the Vikings lost, they're done over it. The Bills, they were really hot, and then they kind of slowed down, and people were saying, "Oh, what happened? Are they really, as good as we all thought?" Everybody was picking them, and now so that was a big win.
Yeah, well, Josh Allen was struggling for a bit, and then we don't have a run, or the Bills don't have a run game at all, so. They actually the run game started picking up, and Allen's on fire again. I think he threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Patriots now. So, yeah, and then early in the season, they beat the Chiefs and beat some good teams. But now, they're back. They're back playing good, which is good because normally they kind of tank in the playoffs, but, towards the playoffs. So
I actually shouldn't even say this, but I'm going to because I'd probably get crap. But I actually like watching, and I actually turn on if they're on, and I'm not watching the Vikings, or I flip back and forth if it happens to be on. But the Patriots, because it is so crazy how good they still are without Brady, and then they bring in a rookie quarterback, and how good he all of a sudden is so playing. It's just, I mean, Belichick, man, he knows what he does something because they're a competitor.
Well, who else was in the rookie draft class? There was Trevor Lawrence and some good, Kellen Mond, who the Vikes got, but there was some good quarterbacks, right? And Mac Jones is easily the best, right?
Yeah. Well, somebody said if you would redraft, they were saying who would you pick, but they did still say they would still take Trevor Lawrence. I mean, there is just the team around him.
Yeah.
I mean, look at their coach is gone, and yeah, so they said they'd still take Trevor Lawrence just because his arm strength and everything. He's got everything Mac Jones has, just not a team around him. And then they had Mac Jones those seconds. So
what's wrong with the Jacksonville Jaguars?
They're gonna have the first pick again, which I guess is cool.
Crazy.
The other team though, man, Cincinnati. It's just crazy with Burrow, and then they had those 2 receivers, both 1,000-yard receivers. I was just seeing Higgins, I think the T Higgins, and then the one that Chase. One that played with him at LSU with
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase, yeah.
Well,
they got a pretty.
It's awesome because in my fantasy football, it's not huge money, but it's enough money to care if I win or lose. And I had Lamar Jackson, who obviously was out. So then I picked up Huntley, who ended up being sick. So I picked up Joe Burrow, who went out for 42 points, and I ended up beating.
Oh, yeah.
And I played Roy in it, so it's we always have a good time playing each other. I ended up beating them by might have been 40 points because I picked up Miami's defense too. So I'm going to the championship this week is now the fantasy football championship. So
how many players are in that league? How many teams?
There's only 10. So I mean, it's a
surprise. Burrow would still be available because I mean, I have him as my backup. I had Patrick Mahomes as my starter. But
he's had a couple off games though recently. Joe Burrow has, and with his wide receivers, you think he would do this every game. Throw for well, not 500 yards like he did or whatever he did, but at least 300 and 3 touchdowns. But
I was pretty upset because I made it into the final 6 in my league. It's just I joined a random one, it was like $50 or something. I can't remember. It wasn't a lot, but I was in the top 3 or 4. I ended up finishing 3rd. But that's with a lot of guys kind of having down years. But then I had, I think I mentioned this before. So I had Mahomes, I had Tyreek Hill, and I ended up having Leonard Fournette and Najee Harris, who were both top 5 running backs. Yeah. Then later in the year, I picked up, I had the running back, not Aaron Jones, but the other.
Dylan.
Anyways, I ended up having a really good, and I had Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes. I went last Thursday and just went off and had really good games. And I was up by a lot and projected to win, and I ended up losing, I think, by 6 or 7 because I had Julio Jones. He had come back, and then he got injured right away. He got me 0 points, and I think that was really the difference because I lost by 7 or 8 points by the end of it, or something like that. But so I'm done.
Yeah, fantasy football is very it's just hard to play because you never know who's going to get injured or who's going to get.
Well, and COVID is the big thing now. It's because so many big players are out every week. You don't know until the last minute. So it's a really weird year. But yeah, that was my only league. So.
Also, I will say in the championship I'm going into, I drafted Derrick Henry first. And he went out obviously a while ago. So that just shows how good I am at fantasy football.
Yeah. And the other thing we were talking sports is the Wild have lost now 4 in a row after being the hottest team in the league. And that's heading into our big stadium game at US Bank Stadium this Saturday.
Yeah, that'll be. Is it at US Bank or is it at Target Field?
Or is it Target Field?
I think it's Target Field because that's outdoors.
Yeah, it's Target Field. Yep.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch, and hopefully they don't suck it up on that game because a lot of people will be watching. They're playing the Blues, right?
Yep, and I don't know. I can't again. The whole Spectrum or not Spectrum Dish
Charter
thing with I have it. Well, for me, it's Dish, and so I haven't been able to watch enough. But so somebody had said that, and this surprised me for a Wild team, that we need to start playing less. Like they're playing more as individuals than team. That you have some of the guys now that are can score points, and they're not as playing as team hockey as the Wild normally do. I don't know if that's true. I haven't been watching.
We need Jacques Lemaire to come back and show them how to play hockey Minnesota style, right? Just solid on defense, have 1 goal scorer, that's it, and score 2 goals a game and win 2-1.
But I still can't complain because we were almost top in our conference and almost top in the league. So hopefully it's just a little bad stretch here.
Well, in the power rankings, right when they were the number 1 ranked team, that's when they hit the slump, and now they've lost 4 in a row. So.
Hopefully they turn it around, but it is Minnesota. It's just the way it is. But now to some magic, because the first thing, I've played a lot of games. It's actually hard to even remember which games I played and what was all done. But the first thing I'm just to mention, so talked about this. We did a box opening last night. And I'll go through after this first part some of the big pulls we had. But so I've been updating my Gurok deck that I've mentioned, my commander deck that I have I think it's like 6 different Planeswalker with the Cursed Huntsman as my commander. And so I've been updating it in that. I mean, I've added some better cards. I've been trying to not pull stuff out of the case, but I have to admit I've done that a couple times, especially if I have 2 of a card. So I've been updating it in that way. And then I'm curious, this was a talking point, I wanted to figure out your thoughts on it. So the guys at the store now, Brent and Dylan, I guess I introduced them on the, Brent is, he works at the store, Dylan's a friend of his that comes up a lot. They play a lot of Magic. They were just mentioning, kind of a noob thing to have all my basic lands in my deck. They have all their full art, and in their main decks they play, and And so after they mentioned that, at first I'm like, just nah. But then once I saw their deck, I'm like, I need full art. So now, just with my lands at least. So I started there, and I started getting full art. They're just cooler looking lands, and I decked out that whole deck. And now I'm to the point where I'm doing that with every deck. And so then also, if I have a double or something, I'm putting some of my cards, I'm throwing in the full art into my deck, because I'm like, now I just feel like I want my deck to look cool. So I mean, I even, to the point of I wanted to get a questing beast for my Gurok deck for beasts. So when I got that, it had to be the full art. I added even my Gurok's Uprising. I pulled this last night. It was the I don't know what they call this, alternate art for the Gurok's Uprising,
That's
which
like
just looks sweet.
It's from Throne of Eldraine, so it's like the fairy tale kind of old school art.
Yeah, and I've got that for the Lotus Cobra. I got another cool art. So, I've been adding all those. And then last night, one of the pulls, so this was one of the pulls, and I just added this, was the Grim Tutor, but it's the full art, and I think it's also alternate art, but it is just awesome. And I had to put it in here. So now I've been kind of decking out this deck with, so all the lands are full arts. I've been switching to some of my cards if I had a full art or a cooler alternate art. I've been replacing them. What are your thoughts on, just that whole, process? I mean, do you do that with your decks at all?
It doesn't sound very old school noobish, so no, I do not do that, but
I didn't. And now I felt, it's like, and I saw it, everybody else they're pulling out it's so colorful. Their whole, their lands are so colorful.
So do they have like different lands for each one, and they're like all different from different sets, or are they all the same one? Like,
they're all mixed.
Yeah,
I think they're all mixed.
So
and mine is too.
I have that in a lot of mine. Obviously if it's just a basic non-foil from Core 2020 or whatever, I usually swap those out for something cool.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing now, and so. But I've also been upgrading, so I actually feel pretty, I'm coming up with a pretty competitive deck with this Gurok. So some of the things I needed to do to start was, obviously, because I was keeping everything thematic, since I couldn't really overpower my deck, since I wasn't trying to use my best cards, I was going more theme. But now I'm adding in, some of the mana ramps. I added in Soul Ring, obviously. I had taken that out just because they were so hot in the store, but now I have Soul Ring in here. Skyclave Relic, and this one I have the full art because I had to.
Yeah, that looks
That's
sweet.
another one where you can add one mana of any color, and you can also make some copies if you kick it for the extra 3. So I got that in here. I added Soul Talisman, which is you suspend it, and then you can add 2 lands, so it's just like the Soul Ring, but it's suspended. So I've been adding those to get some mana ramps. I added a Lightning Greaves just because everybody kept using this on me, so being able to, give my big creatures in here haste and shroud is pretty huge. And then I already talked about the Grim Tutor, and so then I found a old Diabolic Tutor art, one of the cooler Diabolic Tutor arts, and older, I don't even know what set that's from. And I have my Demonic Tutor, which I took out. That's been mine since high school, so I took that out of the case and put it in here. That's I was hoping it was the first set, which would have made it like $200, but I think it's like $40 or $50. But now I have all 4. I don't know if there's another one. I guess you could tell me, or somebody can, if I have all the tutors for the Black or Swamp. I have Profane Tutor, Grim Tutor, Demonic Tutor, and Diabolic Tutor all in my deck.
Trying to think what tutors there are.
Yeah, so I have all those. Plus, like I said, I added the Questing Beast, and I've really pumped this deck up. So next time we play, we'll be able to finally, because last time I didn't have those. Or no, I had them, but I hadn't created the deck when we played. So next time we get together, I'll be able to play this one, and it's getting a lot more competitive now. I've loosened my strings as far as using some cards from the case, especially if I have at least 2 of them, and I've really been kind of pumping this deck up. And I'll just so I have played a handful of games. I think we just, I can't remember them all from the store. I do plan on doing some extra episodes from the store, maybe more often, like weekly, and have some of the guys from the store on, because it's hard to remember all the games we're playing here now. But we can talk about the games you and I played when I came to your house.
I was gonna say there is looks like there was Cruel Tutor.
Nope. Okay. I better.
But that's
search
from
for that
Portal,
Cruel
so it's one of
Tutor.
those crappy sets like for beginners back in the day.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope, I'll skip it. So otherwise, I do have the cool tutors.
Yeah, I was gonna say when
But st-
you came over, like what is it, like 2 weeks ago now, maybe 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
because we haven't recorded in a little bit. So, but yeah, we played. Well, first we played a bunch of. This is non-Magic, but we played a bunch of games, and then Matt was like, saw I was about to fall asleep, and he's like, "Hey, let's play some Magic, Luke." And I was like, I don't know. And then so we played. I wasn't even really trying, and Matt beat me a couple times.
So, I played with the, and this is the next deck I'm starting to work on. I've started to already do the lands for all my decks. I will say that. So now I'm trying to full art all my decks. But I was playing my pre-con that I've kind of upgraded, which is the Prosper Tomebound. And as I had mentioned, what I was trying to do with that is it was slow. So I had added some other cards to kind of pick up the speed. But then I think what I was able to do, and this deck is starting to do, and I want to kind of power it up, but I kind of was able to take control a little bit because I was able to kill some of your things. What else was I doing? Stealing things.
Yeah, you had you got freaking Tybalt out, which you can you exile the top card of the player's library, and you got him out pretty quick because you were making treasure tokens. So
Yep.
and then you
Lots of
killed
treasure
my
tokens.
Kai card right away. This was our second game. So then I was struggling just to get mana out because I didn't hit Soul Ring, and I mean with those mana ramps, those help commanders so much. So like if you spend money on Mana Crypt or Mana Vault, like that's you get one of those, like that's huge. But yeah, I was just struggling to get cards out, and
I hear a lot of excuses. What I really want to hear is how are you going to fix that now? Because you seemed like, wow, I need to do some stuff. So how are you going to fix it? Have you done that yet?
well, I took apart the first deck I used against you because that one sucked. It was like it was with Teysa, which I've talked about before. It's where you want a bunch of death triggers, but also I put a bunch of life gain in there for some random reason because I like life gain because I'm milquetoast like that, I guess. So that deck was just kind of jumbled. So I took that apart and then put some. I got some more cards for that Kai card deck. So I think that's the one unless I make a whole new one, but try to make that Kai card more competitive because I know there's some cards that people don't like in casual play. So like Draneth Magistrate, which is no one can play their commander except for whoever has that card out. So
Oh, really?
I'm gonna put him in there. I'm gonna put some more counter spells, even though I hate them, but I also hate cards like where they exile your cards and they can use them whenever they want, but I can't do anything
That's
with
whole
them.
deck.
So I'm gonna put some counter spells in there. It's gonna be, it'll be annoying. So
the thing too with that with this deck, I'm able to get to that point where it's actually almost tough for me to pay attention because we were talking about this in a game yesterday. So the guys at the store have only seen my Gurok deck because I was trying to get that going, and they play a lot. They are looking to get actually to play more competitively this year. So they play a lot. So they gave me some tips. Anyways, so now I started playing with that deck, and the same thing kind of happened. There's so many different levels of exile. I'm like, is there 2 levels of exile? Because, some things I can exile and then I only can use it till the end of next turn. Well, then, so then after that, it's just out in exile. But then I have another pile of exile that I can play till the end of the next turn, plus ones that I can play as long as the card's in play, I can use that. So it's like there's all these cards exiled all over the place. It almost gets confusing.
well, and with Tybalt, I think once you exile it and you have that emblem, even when Tybalt dies, you can still play the cards that were exiled with them, which makes for another layer of complexity.
Yeah. So I was telling those guys, I'm like, man, I need a mat that, and yes, that has 1 T. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, a mat that just threw me off when I said Matt, and then I'm like, man, that's why people say that, because my name is Matt with 1 T. But anyways, the playmat that has like different spots for exiles and your graveyard, and just so I can be more organized.
You should also, this is obviously back to your tutors. You could get Worldly Tutor. That's search your library for a creature card and reveal it, and then shuffle your library. So
well, I was talking about that with the guys here, that I used to have all those tutors, and I know I had them probably in my commons or uncommon box that somebody already snatched, and because I didn't realize that some of those are worth like $30.
yeah,
And they're commons and uncommons, because I had all those from back when. the white one. You know, I even I know the picture
of the old lady
that,
like holding up a thing, Enlightened Tutor.
I mean, I had a bunch of those, you know, probably back when we played, and I probably maybe even still do, or people picked them because I just didn't look through, you know, before I put my cards
Yeah,
out.
no, I found like 5 expensive uncommons when I was just up there last.
Yeah.
And I only looked
Brent's
like
doing that now.
10 minutes, I think. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing that now. Brent is going through, and we're doing some different things with all that. But speaking of that, on our Facebook Live yesterday, you were called out by Brent just because we always talk. We talk about the podcast when I'm at the store, and so I think I've played you up that you play a lot of Magic too, and so they were, you know, or aiming, you know, gunning to play you, and so Brent, you know, wants to use his Urza deck, which I haven't even played, but it's his competitive deck that he's, you know, and it's a pretty spendy deck, and he's got where typically he can win in 3 to 4 turns,
And that's a modern deck, I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and that's the thing. You talked me up too much. I don't ever play competitive unless it's. I used to play standard, which was, you know, but that was like 2 years ago before COVID. So now I've just been playing like casual Commander. But yes, I did accept the challenge. So
you accepted it, yeah.
Now I was trying to join your broadcast so I could accept it and not be like a keyboard warrior, like, I'm gonna take you down. But I should have. But anyway, so yeah, I'll have to figure out what deck to use and probably make a new one.
We were gonna get ones of, and maybe even tens of people, because I think we're gonna have to put up some posters in my store and say the battle of the decade.
Do like UFC style posters of me and
yeah, in this corner, and we're gonna, because we're trying to set up in our game room upstairs our little recording, and so we can have games live and just have it so it's on the play area and you know, play games. So we'll definitely have to have that live on Hobby Shop and on the store, even if you get your butt kicked, just because, you know, it'll be something to record and have everybody watch.
Well, didn't you see what was at stake? I put a comment in there after I said that I would, you know, obviously accept the challenge. I was like, loser gets to pick a card from Matt's store. So
loser, yeah. But no, so yeah. Anyways, we play a lot of games. I've been playing lots. So I don't have all the specific. I know. So lots of the decks that I see lately are Landfall, Omnath. I know Ken uses that. I just pulled one of those yesterday. I know maybe Jim, who comes to the store, is going to need that because he also plays a lot of Landfall. Phylath with the sapling tokens. I've seen that recently. And then there's some of the other ones. Oh, you mentioned Mara, somebody that comes to the store, she plays a lot of the life gain white. So you might actually be able to give her some tips. She's fairly new, but she plays that similar deck, so I've seen that. But yeah, so I've been playing with my Gurok and then also with my Prosper. Any other games you've played besides the ones we played?
Not really. The last few times I've went to the store, I've been upgrading or making a new deck, which is that Minsk beloved Ranger. So he when he comes into the battlefield, he creates a 1/1 legendary red hamster token named Boo. And it's 1/1 with trample and haste. And it's red, green, and white colors. So I always like using tricolors in Commander just because you get more options. Yep. So, but as I was making it, it's basically a Tron deck where you just build up one creature and it has trample. But I kept buying a bunch of enchantments for it. So now I'm like, man, I should just maybe get a better enchantment commander because I know there's some really good ones. So we'll see.
I think what we need to do now is for the first game, you know, obviously to be competitive, you know, against you guys. But you can bring your hamster deck because I don't know if you were on the thing yesterday because we were talking about, we pulled first it was 9 lives and then we pulled Pack Leader, which is a dog. I'm like, who is playing? I know there's lots of cats. Who is going to play Magic and use dogs and cats? I'm just going to use my dragon and blow fire all over all of them and fry them to a crisp. You know what I mean? Like, who's using dogs and cats? Now you're using hamsters? I'm like, I couldn't even do it if I wanted to.
Well, there's that dog and cat card that gives, I think, dogs and cats both +1/+1, but and I think it's red, green, and white as well as that Minsk or whatever, but I forget the name of it though. But anyways.
Do you remember Cat Dog? Do you remember Cat Dog, the cartoon?
We didn't
that was
have
Darcy's
cable
favorite
growing
cartoon.
up. Come on.
That was her favorite cartoon growing up, so I had bought her a cat dog toy. We actually still have it. We found it.
Darcy's was cat
20 some
dog.
years ago. That was one of them, yeah. And so Cat Dog, anyways, I mentioned Cat Dog last night because I said that's what the name of the deck's going to be, is Cat Dog, and we're going to have a logo of the Cat Dog on it, and we're going to make a competitive Cat Dog deck.
Well, you should.
And then we can play your hamster deck.
You have a couple dogs and a couple cats, right? Just sew a cat and a dog together and be like, here you go, Darcy.
Yeah, we have enough of them, yes. So anyways, well, as far as, well, I mentioned, some of the updates I made, but so I'll go through, on the Facebook Live, it's there, and I don't know, we'll see if we post it as any sort of podcast, because we were recording.
If you get me the file, I'll just put it on our YouTube.
All right, so yeah, I'll send you that. But so some of the big pulls were, we opened a box of Zendikar Rising draft, that box, and then for 2021, we had the set boosters. And so some of the big pulls were Arid Mesa, which is obviously a land, pay a life, and then you get to search your library. Once you sacrifice it, search your library for mountain or plains, put it on the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. But it was like an alternate arts. That was one of the more spendy. The biggest pull was Terror of the Peaks, which is a dragon flying. Your spells your opponent's cast that target Terror of the Peaks cost an additional 3 life to cast. Whenever another creature enters a battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target.
Yeah, that card's crazy. Like, especially if you get them out quick, and yeah, it's a powerful card.
And then Agadim's Awakening. I don't know what you call these. We were debating on the show. I said there must be an actual official term, but we were calling them flip lands, or where it's Agadim's Awakening on the one side, where it's 3 swamps and X, return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creatures that each have a different converted mana cost X or less. And on the other side, it's a swamp.
Oh, yeah, so it's either a land or a card. Yeah, I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, a sorcery. Yeah, we were calling them flip cards because we had no clue, but that was another one of the more spendy. Then we did pull an Omnath, which I mentioned. We also pulled that Grim Tutor, which was the alternate art. Vino Thorn of the Dusk Rose, he was another good one. Forsaken Monument.
Skyclave Apparition he pulled. He's pretty good for the mono white.
Yep. Pulled a lot of the different lands. A lot of different pathways from the one set. Let's see. What is it? Scoot Swarm, a couple different arts of that. Zusa, Lost But Seeking. Ken actually, who was at the store, he's purchased that one.
Yeah, it's good for landfall.
Yeah, we had a lot of good pulls, and we were saying that the draft booster, I think, almost had the better. Because, that was the one thing we've talked about is, people kind of shy away from those, but we seem to pull really good cards from those draft booster box. So, yeah, that was fun, and I did put the Grim Tutor into my deck, even though it's one of the better cards we pulled. Yeah, any other games or any other topics on Magic that we were going to discuss?
No, well, I was looking because, after Brent said that he has a pretty competitive deck. Well, it sounds way more competitive than I've ever done. So I was looking up on Moxfield. They have different competitive EDH decks. So I was looking through some, and there's one called, with a commander is Teshar. So it's that bird that whenever you cast a legendary spell, you can return target permanent with mana cost 3 or less to the battlefield. Is it permanent or is it? Yeah, so it's a creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that basically has a ton of shut down creatures and then artifacts, low costing. So I had Memnite in there and Ornithopter. So you can just keep bringing stuff back from your graveyard. And then a lot of
I need those too. So if you have any extras, I just saw them in my picture because I sent it to Brent. Because one of the decks I'm trying to build for my competitive Modern 60 card is I'm rebuilding my Goblin deck, which was Memnite, Ornithopter, and then the I have that deck here somewhere, but where it when you sacrifice an artifact, you can bring out 3/1/1 goblins. So on the first turn, I can get Kuldotha Rebirth. So as additional cost, sacrifice an artifact, and it's just one cost. So on turn 1, I typically get out 3 goblins. Turn 2, hopefully,
something to beef them up, like +1/+1.
Yeah. So that's the deck that I'm doing for and that's because that's one I used to do. So I'm trying to upgrade that.
You got to get that
right
goblin that if you sacrifice a goblin, you get a red mana. There's probably a few different versions of that, but you could mana red pretty quick.
That's what I'm doing for my competitive modern, so I'm working on that as well. As I mentioned too, what I would like to do, just so we could talk more about games we played and more specifics, I think that'll be, like Luke and I have been talking more even weekly, whether it's, we're both on it. Hopefully we can figure out we're both on, or even I'm going to record some from the store when people play a bunch of games, just so we can talk more about what everyone's playing. Just because, I've been playing more games. So, I think that's about it for Magic. Like I said, I've played a lot of games. Hopefully I'll try to remember more. But, last topic I'm going to ask, actually. So another thing that's come up is the cost of commanders. So, all my initial ones were 4. It would be like Prosper is 4. It's a mountain, a swamp, and then 2. A lot of the other precons typically seem to be 4. There's some that are different, but so first thing, so Brent plays with. I was searching through my phone. If Brent was here, I'll have to do maybe you'll know what it is, but it's a 1 blue and a green, a 2 cost. I don't know if it's a 2/2, but when you pay 5, I believe it is, you can search the top 6 cards of your library for I don't know if it's a human or a creature card, and then put it on the battlefield. But it's only a 2 cost commander that Brent uses. Anyways, and so it's huge. When you kill his commander, it's not even that big of a deal for him. But I have a 6 cost commander. So first thing, first question is, do you look at that, or what's your common commander as far as the cost to get it out? Second is, we've done a store rule that we're kind of doing, I guess, just because Brent and them mentioned that's what they play, and I like it because, and that's the commander. When your commander dies, it goes back to your commander zone. Typically, people do that cost 2 more to get your commander out. Well, so we've been doing 1 more, just because 2 is so. It just seems almost you can't use any of those bigger commanders because it's almost impossible to even get them back out. When you're adding 2 to the cost. So we add 1 as kind of a house rule. Thoughts on those? What's your typical commander size, and what are your thoughts on the house rule of only adding 1 every time your commander has to come back out?
Well, for a while, I didn't even realize you had to pay commander tax, is what they call it. So we would just cast it again right away when I first started learning how to play. So, but yeah, and then we thought it was 1, and then someone's like, oh no, it's 2 each time, 2 extra. So I was like, wow. But yeah, house rules for casual, that seems pretty good, just because then it's more fun and you can get your commander out. But yeah, when you get above 4, it starts to suck because obviously people like to target your commander because it's such a big part of your deck, and if he dies 2-3 times, you're like,
you can't even use it. That's just the game. So I wish I would remember. I got to get better at writing these down. Dylan, one of the guys, comes into the store. He has his angel deck, and it's pretty powerful. It's like a 2/2 angel. You'd probably know it. It's full art. I just keep thinking Kesa because we're about to talk for the comic. But anyways, every time it comes out, I guess, no matter who he's playing against, they target it and kill it. And it actually happened yesterday. I targeted it first because Ken and Dylan's decks are so powerful that I'm trying to kill their stuff just so I can get out my Guroks. And so I killed it first, and then Brent killed it a couple times, so he never gets to even really use it. And then Brent also ended up stealing all his angels as he was bringing them out later in the game, so it felt bad for him. Anyways, then so he at least, we were playing the 1, so he was able to bring it out multiple times. But I noticed when I was using my 6 for my Gurok, it already takes long enough to get it out. Yeah, so after you kill it the first time, then 8, it becomes very difficult. And then 10, we play with that house rule of 1.
Well, and the good thing about green is you can probably have a lot of mana by the time if he dies 3 times, but no, back to that other commander you were thinking about. I bet it's Kinnan Bonder Prodigy. So that's whenever you tap an on-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. And then you pay 7, you can look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Yeah. So
so I'm looking at it now. So Kinnan Bonder Prodigy, and then the other one that I was mentioning is Kalia of the Vast.
Is that like the 3-color 3/3 angel for 3 mana?
It's so it's 1 swamp, a plains, and a mountain, and 1 additional. It's a legendary human cleric, flying 2/2. Whenever Kalia of the Vast attacks an opponent, you may put an angel, demon, or dragon creature from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking that opponent.
Oh yeah.
So it's you get that out early and just bringing out these huge creatures and attacking right away. So you can see why it gets attacked. But he's got like the full art foil. It looks awesome, and every time it comes out, it's boom.
He needs to put some white protection in there, like that God's Willing, where you can just pay 1 and give it protection from a color.
Or the Shroud,
yeah,
boots, or whatever it is.
Swift boots, or Swiftfoot boots, or the
lightning. Actually, we
greaves.
just talked about it. Lightning, yeah. So, anyway, so yeah, those are what, and so the thing too, Brent's with being that Kinnan, which was 1 island and 1 forest. The advantage there, it's just so powerful. 1, but then 2 is. It doesn't even affect him, even if it would be 2. But we play 1, which everybody agrees to. But when you have a 2-cost commander, it makes it so nobody even targets it, because it's like, it's gonna be 3. You can pay that right away. It's nothing. So it's kind of made me start thinking I want to maybe come up with a faster commander deck, having the commander be a 2 or maybe 3-cost commander. So
yeah.
Anyways,
it's always fun to put like Frogify on commanders, because then, unless they have a sack outlet, their commander's just gonna sit there for a while, because it makes it lose all its abilities, and it's just a 1/1.
I thought I was getting smart yesterday, because and this is what I was curious about. So when you exile something, so if you exile a commander, it just goes back to the command zone.
Yeah.
So I was getting smart in my head, because I brought out a gelatinous cube, and I'm like, I'm gonna put the Kalia under the gelatinous cube, but then it exiles it.
Yeah.
So then
it
goes
can
back
put
to
it in the command
board.
zone.
Yeah. So, anyways, I still exiled the creature, but I thought I was going to get around the whole commander thing, but yeah. Now we're going to keep talking Magic, but we've read a couple more issues of Magic from Boom Studios. So, Luke, you're probably the freshest. We read issue 3, as in freshest. I read issue 3 a couple weeks ago, but if you want to start out talking about that one.
Yeah, I was trying to think where we left off on issue 2. I don't remember what was happening, but
Well, so I'll just do a quick, I have it here. It says, with their homes rocked by an attack and Jace Bellerin's life hanging in the balance, Planeswalkers Kaya, Ral, and Vraska must discover who is behind it all. But as they begin to suspect one of Ravnica's most prominent guilds is behind the attack, it becomes clear their enemy may be plotting something even more destructive.
Oh yeah, so issue 3 is they're trying to find the Dimir, the Dusk Mantle is what it's called, because that's where the Dimir hideout, and it's always been kind of shrouded in mystery where it's actually at, and they've moved a bunch of times, and so issue 3 they're kind of shows their adventure on that, and they run into Rad Coast people, the black and
Rakdos, yeah,
black and red people, and then black and red mana guild.
The Joker's kind of the not clowns, but jesters kind of
yeah,
almost.
So I was gonna,
look like, yeah,
kind of like carnies.
Yeah, and they start talking like they're gonna, just what they're gonna do to these, these 3 that come upon them, and they don't realize they're messing with 3 planeswalkers, so they take quick work of them. I think.
Well, they're trying not to like rustle any feathers, but then all of a sudden, this jester keeps mouthing off, so Kai just throws a knife in his throat or something, and ends it.
Yeah, they said the rest of you guys want to, have the. Anyway, so yeah, they, I don't want to give too many spoilers. It is what it is. They do, it leads to they do find the city. And then some other kind of the rest of it is when it's really becoming that these planeswalkers, nobody's believing them, because all of a sudden, they first said it was, obviously these people, the Dimir, and now it's not the Dimir they're saying. Well, so everybody's like,
Yeah, they show up to the Dusk Mantle and they realize, because in issue 1, they, there's like those 3 explosions at the guild, and then they realize there was 4 because the Dimir guild is blown up, so. And that's a spoiler alert, but it's been out long enough. People People have read it or not read it, but
Yeah, and so then after that, so when they're going back and now they're trying to say, well, it's not the Dimir. Everybody's like, well, the heck, you said it was, and now you're saying it's not. Now you're saying it's, this, and so there's also this thing going on with, so first of all, there's all the different groups that are saying, what's going on, and one of them actually throws a rock and hits Kaya in the head, and it's some of the citizens and stuff, and they're getting annoyed because they're starting to say it's this church or whatever it is, or this holy place all of a sudden, and then who's Aurelia, is it?
yeah, and this is all in issue 4 now, right?
Oh, am I skipping ahead?
Yeah,
We may be going to issue 4. So yeah, we were at issues 3 and 4. So yeah, the first one is they're in Dusk Mantle, and now they're going back, and now we're talking to saying nope.
Yeah, because they realize, it's not the Dimir, and then what's his name, Lazov, the guild master of the Dimir, visits Kaya, Rael, and Vraska in their dreams, and being like, hey, that wasn't us. It's not us doing this, it's someone else. Basically, they say it's the church in Ravnica, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so, but yeah, this is when the civilians are getting all pissed, and, because they go to the church and they start accusing them.
Yeah, because they're part, like the citizens are, being, it's almost like a cult. Obviously they're being brought into this and kind of turning them against the Planeswalkers and the other guilds. So then everybody's going against them, and so a huge fight's about to start to, go down, and then, because, each of the Kaya, Vraska, they have their people behind them now, their armies, and it's about, this big war is about to break out, and then Aurelia comes down, and so we get to see her. And then
she's the Boros, the red and white guild master. Yep, so she's sent, or she's like basically serving to protect the civilians of Ravnica.
Yep. And so they're going against our team of planeswalkers here, saying, you guys, it's almost like they cried wolf, now again, and it's almost like, are you the problems? And then it ends with where they. So there's the name of the god that this kind of cult or whatever it is follows. Braille says, I know the name of your god, and then they're pretty much like, well, soon everybody's going to. So doesn't look good, and they're turning everybody against him. So that's where issue 4 ends. Yeah, so I know who it is. Luke's already, trying to think of who this god is. So I've read up to issue 6. So Luke, hopefully, so for next time we'll have to talk about issues 5 and 6, because it's good. People at the store actually, Brent and Dylan, they're chomping at the bit to read it. So I actually want to try and get maybe the trade paperback if there is one. I'm assuming there is. It's usually about every 6 issues.
Well, there's, I think is it a 7-issue run?
I'm not even sure. I haven't ordered past 6, so I got to make my. It's in
or
my
is it 8
list,
issues?
So
I think I have up to 8, and I went to the Granite City Comics a couple weeks ago, and they didn't have a new one, but.
We'll for sure try to read to issue 6 for the next. If there is 8, that'll work out. We'll read the 6 for the next one, and 8 and go through the series. But yeah, so it's good. I mean, I like it. We're getting to see a lot of these. We saw Aurelia and all these different planeswalkers, and so it's kind of cool seeing that in some of these different areas. And the art is just awesome and colorful, and so yeah, I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like I think I said this on the last podcast, just to see these, all these Magic characters outside of just their card, where they just have a few abilities, but then you get their whole backstory, which we've talked about it too. Like the Magic story is just so deep and so complex, and it's fun to learn more about it. So
you didn't get more, you mentioned for Christmas at least, but you mentioned going to the store. Do you have some others to talk about?
No, not comic books, because the last time I think I updated the Deathstroke and then the X-Men last one, and I haven't been up, so I was gonna go up there tomorrow because we were gonna have a video shoot, but it sounds like it's getting canceled, so we'll see when I make it up to St. Cloud next.
No, keeps coming as we're recording. So I do have a couple. One of them was one of the ones I mentioned, so it's Black Hammer from Dark Horse Comics, and so this one is wiped out of their superhero universe by a multiversal crisis. The forgotten heroes of Spiral City now live as a dysfunctional family on a mysterious farm in a small town from which they have no escape. So everything I keep reading about this, and this is by Jeff Lemire, a pretty well-known in the comic world. He created his whole own world because now there's multiple. I think there's different. What's it called? Where it spun off into other things from this world of Black Hammer. So yeah, it's a team of superheroes that were cast into this other place, which is like on a farm, and like one of them, what's her name, Golden Gale. She was flying in this superhero. And it's, I mentioned it's not your milquetoast, of course, because she's a 9-year-old girl now, and she was of course, this superhero woman. So she's definitely missing some things now that she's a 9-year-old girl. So she's not happy at all. And one of them, is an older man. And they live on this farm, and he's kind of liking it. He likes the quiet life. You're a superhero doing all this crazy stuff, but yeah, now they're in this world. They don't know really why or how they can get out of there. So yeah, that's kind of the first issue, is just meeting them in this small town. Again, one of the superheroes. I wish I had all their names. I'll have to look back, but just going to the coffee shop and having coffee, and he's flirting with one of the waitresses there. So he's he doesn't mind it. And then at the end we find out that his the daughter of one of them. She's a reporter now, and it happened like 10 years ago. The 10-year anniversary is coming up, and she said, no matter what, I'm going to find them. So, she's going to be searching for them. And then in one of the characters in this must be really good with machines and things like that. He actually is a robot of some kind. He's trying to create this orb or this thing to ship or out into space, because they can't go beyond the borders of this town for whatever reason, when this happened. So they don't even know if there is a beyond this town. They just know they can't go beyond it. So he's trying to send this thing up and go past the past the boundaries to see what's out there and try to get word to have people come save them. Some of them want to be saved, some don't. So it's through the first 2 issues, but they can imagine, they were these superheroes, and now they're just stuck in these different forms almost in this quiet little town. And like I said, the 9-year-old, she was a woman, and now she's a 9-year-old, and she has to go to school in the second, she's actually getting on the bus, and, she gets in trouble because she's stealing cigarettes and smoking and drinking, and, anyways.
Kind of sounds like, is it The Parent Trap, where the kid and the parents like switched? Isn't?
Yeah, switch bodies. But yeah, so anyways, and I know the second issue, he just gets into more of her and her whole situation, and, what she has to put up with, in this body. So, yeah, that's just, I got really intrigued, especially because I seen, like, a lot of people saying, it's, he's creating this whole own world. And I like superhero stuff, but I just don't like the milquetoast superhero. So, that's where Black Hammer kind of settles that for me. So I'm on issue 2, so hopefully I'm going to keep reading this one next, so hopefully I'll talk about the rest of the trade paperback. I'm guessing it goes through 6. So that's a new one I had got. And then the other that I'll mention that I've had at the store is one of mine. I read it, I think, years ago, and for whatever reason I stopped, but it's a pretty critically acclaimed series, and that's East of West. By Hickman, Dragotta, and Martin. But
what else did Hickman do? He's a pretty popular one, right?
Yeah, he's. I'm bad at thinking. Jonathan Hickman. I'm bad at thinking right off the top of my head. But yeah, he's got some pretty. He's a pretty big name out there, and I have the East of West just as the little blurb here. The things that divide us are stronger than the things that unite us. It's a sci-fi western set in a dystopian America where all hope for the future rests in the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, who has just happened to be trying to kill the President of the United States. One of the most exciting new books of the year, East of West, brand new, okay, blah, blah, blah. But it's, so the 4 horsemen, so there's Death, and so Death is the one, he's like this cowboy, which, I love westerns. I mean, my son's named Wyatt, but it's a futuristic western. And Death is like this cowboy. He's got his pistol, and he rides on this like futuristic horse, and so he's out on like this vendetta. And then the other 3 of the 4 horsemen, they show up, and they have to show up in like these kids' bodies to start, and then they quickly they transform into their actual form. But so Death is going out, and he's on a vendetta. Somebody stole something from him, and in the first two issues, it's I don't believe it's apparent what they stole from him, but then he finds out that his wife, which he apparently had, is still out there, which so it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like a love story. You're starting to see where, who would have thought Death, I mean, the actual Death, is looking for his wife, and has that other side to him. So but this wouldn't be your milquetoast, I'll tell you that, because at the end of one of the, I don't remember, is issue 1 or issue 2, he just leaves a whole mess of bodies in the wake in the White House behind him as he's walking down the hall leaving the White House after he just killed the president, because there's these people coming after him called the Chosen, and one of them was the president in this story, so he kills him, and then we get to see some of the other 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. There's this almost again like a cult in the story that they're trying to get people to follow because it like favors them in some way, and so now they're trying to interview other members of the White House, trying to find a good replacement, and it has to be somebody that follows this cult. So anyways, yeah, it was the first 2 issues. Yeah, it's a very so I like it. I love the art is awesome, but I love like a Western, futuristic Western, so
it's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Futuristic Western.
Yeah. No, I like it. So it's that's east of west.
It reminds me of Westworld, which if you haven't seen that yet, definitely check that out.
I've heard of it. I think like the first part of it, but yeah, I've heard that's supposed to be good.
Well, I've actually only seen season 1, so I should get HBO again and watch season 2. And I don't know if there was ever a third one, but it's a great show. The first season, anyway.
So the last thing, I guess, talking just comics that I want, just because I mentioned I need help, and I mentioned these, so these are all ones I'm going to be reading. Curious your thoughts, so I'll give a little flavor text. You tell me which one that I should read for the next time, just because I need help. So we have The Joker. I already mentioned this, by James Tynion, of course, DC. But Arkham Asylum has been attacked, and all eyes are on the Joker. A mysterious benefactor hires the former Gotham City Police Commissioner Jim Gordon to go on a global manhunt to catch and possibly kill the Clown Prince of Crime. But nothing with the Joker is ever as easy as it seems. When Gordon finds and what the Joker wants him to see will change his perspective on the world forever, and he's not the only one who wants the Joker found. Who are the wicked Samson family? Who is Vengeance, daughter of Bane, striking fear into the world's heart? So, and the art in this one is awesome. I mean, the very first picture, I mean, nobody else can see it, obviously, but I'll show Luke. I mean, pretty sweet art of the Joker. I would love to have that as a picture in the store. The Crown Prince on his throne, and then you got Bane behind him. So that's the first one. Then we got the Wicked and the Divine. Every 90 years, 12 gods return as young people. They are loved, they are hated. In 2 years, they are all dead. It's happening now. It's happening again. So we're seeing these 12 gods start out as young people, and that whole process. So that's by Image Comics. Then Preacher. Do you know Preacher at all? I mean, a review.
Well, yeah, I just know they turned it into a TV series too that was, I think, pretty well received.
Yeah, yep. So this is it says Texas by God. Heartfelt, caustic, and unapologetically profane, Preacher follows the epic journey of Reverend Jesse Custer as he tracks down a fugitive god to make him answer for the sufferings of his creation. From the ashes of a small-town church to the bright lights of New York City to the backwoods of Louisiana, Jesse and his friends cut a righteous path across the soul of America in their quest for the divine, an effort which will be met by every evil that heaven and earth can assemble. Last, another non-milquetoast superhero comic, Irredeemable by Mark Waid. He's another one. This one is a Will Eisner Award nominee. And it's, what if the world's greatest hero decided to become the world's greatest villain? When the Plutonian, the world's greatest hero, snaps and turns into the world's greatest villain, only his former teammates have a chance of stopping his rampage. But while on the run, the world's most powerful and angry being, will these former teammates discover his secrets in time? How did he come to this? What became of the hope and promise once inside him? What happens to the world when its savior betrays it? What makes a hero irredeemable? an apocalyptic superhero tale by the author and multiple Eisner Award winner of Kingdom Come and Empire. So, your thoughts?
I mean, it sounds like you would like the Joker, the one the best.
All right, I was looking forward to that. So yeah, all right.
Oh, I know you so well.
So we're gonna go with The Joker by James Tynion, who I think might be my favorite comic book creator. I mean, The Woods is one I've always wanted you to read, and that's where I first read his stuff. And I have that whole series, so someday that's one that you'll have to maybe read.
Yeah.
It's non-milk toast. It is gory, but it may be in the more gory way. I mean, it's the non-realistic gory, I guess. I mean, I've got Nailbiter, where it's, you know, serial killers and really, but this is like, that's a more futuristic. But anyways, so I'll read The Joker for next time, along with the couple magic books. But just so I could stop talking, let's talk about either some games or some shows or some movies, anything you've done in the last couple weeks on that front.
We've just got done watching a ton of Christmas movies, so we watched the classics like Rudolph, Home Alone 1 and 2, the kids like Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2, those are good. What else? The Christmas Vacation. So I was thinking about like what do you guys watch for your Christmas movies?
Well, I mean, Christmas Story, I mean, that's my favorite Christmas show, but that's on all day Christmas. Usually we don't even watch the full thing. It just plays and you catch parts of it throughout the day. So that's definitely up there. One that we watched that Darcy and I actually forgot how much we liked was Four Christmases with Vince Vaughn.
Oh, the comedy?
Yeah. What the other, I can't think of her name.
Jennifer
Very well known,
Aniston?
No, Jennifer Aniston wasn't in that one. It's let me look it up. But anyway, so yeah, it's you know, where they have to go. Their families are, you know, both sides are divorced, so they have to go to Four Christmases. Typically, they like to go. They were going to go to like Fiji or somewhere, and they come up with excuses and reasons. They say they're going on like something to help, like, you know, at an orphanage or something. But and then they end up getting caught on TV at the airport, and like fog stops their trip, so they end up having to go to these Christmases. Reese Witherspoon. But anyways, it's just funny. There's the brothers of Vince Vaughn are. I mean, I could look at their name. Let's see. It's I don't know if you'll know him, but
it's the guy
Jon Favreau.
Yeah, he's from Iron Man, and then he does a bunch of the Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
Star Wars stuff.
Tim
too.
McGraw. Tim McGraw was one of the other brothers. Denver and Dallas. I didn't know that. But anyways, that was pretty funny. They're like UFC fighters. That was a good one. Four Christmases. But yeah, then we watched. I mean, obviously, like the Grinch. I like the
Jim Carrey one.
The Jim Carrey one. Yeah. Man, we recorded like all the different Christmas movies. So yeah, we've had so many on. Yeah, I like some of the ones that, you know, that are good that we can watch too. So yeah, just like you, we watched a lot of those. But so you mentioned wrestling. Well, how far have you got in, first of all, your WrestleMania adventure?
I'm on 18 right now. It's going pretty slow because we've been watching Christmas stuff, and then like at night, you know, back to like Christmas presents, which so me and Bree just kind of buy stuff for ourselves, and I bought myself, I think I sent you a picture of that huge drawing tablet so I can work on the comic more. So I've been doing that a lot, and then I'll just have like WrestleMania on in the background or whatever else on. So
yep. So that's why I brought, so Wyatt, who I brought up, my son he's watching all the Royal Rumbles. I was telling him that you're watching the WrestleMania, so I'm going to have to remember that because he asked which one you're on. He knows like every Royal Rumble winner, every WrestleMania, or at one point he wrote down and he used to know every champion in order of all the different belts.
Yeah, I remember I brought up some kind of obscure, probably to his age group, like maybe it was like Jimmy Snuka or I don't remember who, but he's like, oh yeah, he won the Survivor Series, or you know, just some random fact. I was like, that sounds right.
He knows. He used to do that with. We used to have a huge encyclopedia of animals. So he has that one of those memories where he like memorizes and he doesn't forget. I mean, it's crazy because he knows how old they all. Because on YouTube they had when each wrestler died. You know, there's so many die young, and you know he knew like how old they are with the. Anyways, yeah, so he knows all these facts. But so I've been watching AEW. You know, there's like Chris Jericho. It's got a lot of the really good independent wrestlers. Like Malachi Black, who was he was in a lot of people that were in the WWE end up going now to this AEW, and they have some pretty good matches. Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes. But I think he started it, was a founder with a lot of these other independent wrestlers that wanted to create a wrestling league for the wrestlers, and so I actually watched when they were starting it a few years ago. We kind of got away and we started watching wrestling again, and I just can't keep up with WWE. There's just too much. If you want to keep up, it's 2-3 hour shows or whatever a week.
Yeah.
Plus there's, anyway, so I've been it's a good, I was telling Darcy, it's almost like, what's that called during the day, your soap operas. I just turned it on at night. I'm like working on my deck, and I don't want to pay attention to anything, but I still have it up there.
Yeah.
And because I used to love wrestling, and so I've been watching AEW just when I'm sitting there, working on my deck or you're working on the comic book, like you mentioned. I'm actually done with 1 and 2 of our Luke and I's comic, and but 1 I think I'm gonna go back now as I'm doing things in 2 and 3, probably change some of the wording, but same story. But and Luke, you're drawing it. So yeah, you're working on the cover right now.
Yeah, the cover, and then also like the first page 1 and 2, because it kind of establishes the main or the main area where the comic book will take place. So
yeah, so Luke and I were saying we need to start doing some just extra side issues where the old school noobs write a comic book.
Yeah,
because we're actually doing that, and so it'd be fun to have the process and keep everybody updated. So we'll have to maybe eventually do that here. Or like I've been saying, now that we kind of have the name of it, except for we have to figure out a way, if there's a way to verify that we can have that name, we should get the website, and we could actually just put our progress up there.
Yeah.
Maybe. But anyways, so I've been watching AEW. Like you said, I watched a ton of other like Christmas movies. Of course, I watch all my true crime stuff. But yeah, otherwise I haven't watched much. I've been haven't played a lot. I am getting close to, though. Besides, we played. We could talk about that. We had some rough go playing some hockey, some NHL 22 in Madden.
Yeah, we called out Tyler and AJ last episode, and it didn't go well. We lost in hockey. Hockey, they handed us a pretty bad loss, but Madden, we had a valiant comeback, but it fell short by a touchdown or so.
I think you had about 4 or 5 interceptions, though, just because they kept throwing it, even when they were up by a lot, which helped us get back in the game.
Yeah.
But then hockey, I actually think it was fairly close. Early on, it was like 1-1.
We scored right away, so Matt got cocky, which if you cock off any, like me or my brothers, that's when we like start to play way better. So I was like, don't say anything, because then they scored like 4 goals in a row, I think. And
I think that was only like 4-2 maybe or something. It was actually a closer game than our typical. But yeah, so we had some rough goes. But then we played online and we lost a couple more. So for us, we had lost like 4 in a row. But then we did end up turning it around. It was the 3 of us, Tyler, along with
AJ had to take off. But yeah, we wanted to ended on a 2-game win streak online. So that was big. That was good.
And so my big thing is I do this. I go back and forth, but I re-downloaded Warcraft 3, the Reforged. I re-downloaded World of Warcraft, and I'm thinking about. I've been wanting to have a game just again every now and then to play, especially at the store sometimes, just in between stuff. And I want a MMORPG, and I love Warcraft, so I'm thinking about playing World of Warcraft again. And I guess an expansion came out that made it better, so maybe I'll be talking about playing that. Also, without knowing it, Albion Online redid its subscription for 3 months, even though I haven't played it for most of that 3 months that I signed up for before. So I may, because they had a big update. And that's another one that's an MMORPG that's fun. It also has a good mobile version, which I like, that you can play anywhere, because that's sometimes the problem, is like you don't have time to just sit down at your computer. So I feel like I could take advantage of a game that also has you could play on my phone on Android, which Albion Online has. So maybe once we have a big enough group of listeners, this would be something maybe I would be putting out there, like which MMORPG should I play? I just want a laid back MMORPG. I mean, I like World of Warcraft. I like that type. Final Fantasy Online I've been thinking about. But, where it's just more laid back. I like when I can, have my house, and, you get stuff and you can, you have your own house in that. And that's kind of cool. Leveling up. Obviously, I've already said the type of games. World of Warcraft seems like that game, or Final Fantasy, or Albion Online. That's kind of where I'm at. So I'd be curious what other people play. So yeah, that's something that'll be coming up.
Oh,
And then
I know you guys were talking about this last night on your Facebook stream, but Magic the Gathering or MTG Arena now has like a new format called Alchemy, which we
Yep,
probably
I
should have
was
brought
gonna
this up
bring this
during
up.
the Magic
I thought of it, and then between talking, I couldn't think of it, but I was going to bring this up because you mentioned this on the Facebook Live. So your thoughts on Alchemy?
Yeah, so
on
they
Arena.
they have this new format called Alchemy that is standard, but it's not standard. So they'll basically nerf overpowered cards. So like if like Elrond's Epiphany is a good example. You don't get the bird tokens anymore. That aspirant, you do it at the end of your main phase or end of your turn, or maybe it's the end of combat, so you don't get it turn one. You know, like your first turn, you won't get that counter for attacking. So it basically kind of dumbs it down, makes it more fair. Which I mean I can see where, because I know for a while people were getting super annoyed at standard when it was the Is It Dragons just running rampant with Elrond's Epiphany, but also it's like, well, come on, like now you gotta. So now all those is it Inspiring Aspirant? You pulled a bunch of those. Those will be good in standard for paper, but now on Arena now like they gotta get rid of all the other ones, or you can only play it in the certain ones. I don't know. It's gonna be a, can I say, shit show?
Yep.
Because there's gonna be so many
Podcast.
different like options and variants and.
So the thing that I had heard is, the thing we mentioned on the podcast is you mentioned dumb it down, and I said it seems Arena does that enough. It almost shows you everything to do. It's actually makes some people that learn on Arena, they don't know the turn process because they don't have to do that in Arena. So to me, that seems like weird that you'd have to dumb it down more.
Yeah.
That's the term. But then the other part is it seemed like people, that they do keep changing and nerfing it, as you say, and so people spend money on these, and they charge just as much, that's why it drives me crazy with the online stuff. Like, I hate spending money when I want the stuff in my hands and I want to be able to resell it.
Yeah.
But anyways, and then then they people spend money or get all these cards, or use a lot of their, I don't even remember what it is, diamonds, crystals, whatever they got to get cards, and then all of a sudden they nerf it, and all of a sudden it ruins your whole deck almost.
Yeah.
And you spent all this money on it. And so, I was watching some on YouTube, watching somebody play. I wish I remember so I could give credit, but they were talking a lot about that, and that was their thing, was they just didn't like how they were so often too. It sounds like changing the cards or doing that process of. I mean, has that been happening quite a bit where they are?
I mean, there was a
nerfing
few that
cards?
they just they made them less powerful. So I will say I did make a Alchemy standard deck, and I don't think I lost for like the first 6 or 7 matches. So, I mean, that's nice because, I didn't run into all the same decks I used to. So we'll see. Maybe I'll keep playing that and maybe I can actually get up to Mythic. But also they came out with Historic Brawl. So that's where you can have any card from Arena. Whereas before it would be like only standard cards and they'd only do the Historic every once in a while. But they do have a Historic Brawl now. So that's pretty sweet too.
So can the Alchemy cards, I mean, is there Alchemy, and then there's the other Arena?
There's Alchemy format, Alchemy standard, or so it's Alchemy standard format, and then just regular standard format where you can still use those overpowered cards.
So that's the tough part of that too. I see where people are saying where then you have to spend so all of a sudden people are playing in Alchemy, you'd have to rebuy all those cards in standard, or just the normal Arena. Would you have to rebuy all those cards in Alchemy? I mean, is it a completely different collection of cards then?
I think so, because there's also like newer mechanics that I like super. What are they like? Perpetually get +1 counters and like just some weird wording that I didn't look into. So maybe I will for the next one. And
yeah, so maybe for next time. So, anyways, at least we threw it in there that Alchemy is out there. I was going to mention it earlier and forgot because I haven't played Arena in a bit, but I was watching. Brent at the store must have been watching it. So on YouTube, we always have the 2 TVs playing different things, usually with Magic related stuff. And so I was watching for a while somebody play Alchemy, and so I had no clue what it was. I thought it was like a new set that just released, and so I didn't realize all the the differences. So yeah,
there might be new cards. Like, I think they actually made new cards for it, but I'll have to check that too and see which ones. Maybe we can preview a couple, but and one last Magic the Gathering news is we haven't talked about Magic the Gathering Online much, but it's kind of like Arena, but it's like the digital format of Magic. So it has all the cards that Magic's had, and it has all the formats, but it looks like crap. So it's garbage. Like the user interface is garbage, but I know that's where a lot of like the hardcore players play, because you can do modern, you can do legacy, you can do vintage, and then you can get like Black Lotuses, and I'm pretty sure you can get Black Lotuses. I'd have to double check that, but like all the old cards, like Demonic Tutor and stuff.
That's its whole own thing though. Like,
yeah,
do you have to buy it, or
no? It's free to
like,
play, but you have to get cards obviously, and then but also that's why I played it like probably 8 years ago, 10 years ago, but then I just quit playing Magic altogether. But then once Arena came out, I never played Magic the Gathering Online. So
now it's making a comeback.
Well, they're getting a new developer slash what is it?
Studio or
yeah, like a developer. So it's gonna look better because they're gonna modernize the user interface and stuff. Because like if you look at that compared to Arena, it's like night and day difference. So it'll look a lot nicer, essentially.
It just seems crazy that they would want to have that to compete with Arena.
Oh,
you know
people,
what I mean?
people complain all the time about just Magic the Gathering Online. I mean, just Magic in general. Like they wonder why they do half the stuff. And
yeah, the only reason I played, to be honest, the Arena was just because I had nobody else to play with. You and I are the only people. Now that I'll stick to my paper Magic. I got people in the store playing, and so you'll have to be our reporter for the online world, because that just is too. Especially having to. I'm already trying to get my decks, in order in paper form. Then if I had to spend money online, I would never be able to come up with a competitive paper deck. So I'm gonna stick to the I'm old school.
Yeah,
I want the paper, just like I want my books in paper. Don't give me digital stuff. But all right, well, so I think that does it for episode 15. I hope we'll definitely should have our next one sooner. I think just with the holidays, we had a big
late
gap in here.
Well, next time,
so we'll definitely,
we can give a preview. We can talk about Kamigawa because they got some spoilers out that I was going to go over, but obviously we're running super late, and I'm on my lunch, so I should probably start working again.
So we should plan though, maybe within the next so even next week to record and come out with an episode sooner. And like I said, I plan to, and we'll maybe have to on Twitter or figure out where we announce this stuff. But I plan to have maybe even some separate episodes just at the store, just quickly if we play some games. Like, hey, here's what just happened.
Yeah, even if you and the guys want to talk about Magic or whatever you've been playing, you can do that.
Yeah, I figure we'll just even if we play 3 or 4 games, we can just do a quick recording of, hey, here's what we played. Each of the guys can talk about what they played. We'll talk about what happened, and that could be some of that as well. Just because. That's the advantage of having the store now. I got lots of games happening around me that I can't even remember what all we played.
Yeah, me and Tyler and AJ are trying to figure out time they can come over and we can record one too. So,
as well, hopefully we'll have our upstairs studio here. So if you guys ever could make it to the store, we'll have our upstairs studio at Prairie Hobbies and Games, Long Prairie, Minnesota.
Yeah, we'll see for New Year's. Maybe we can make it around one of those days, but.
All right, well, sounds good. Well, this was episode 15 of the Hobby Shop Talk podcast for Luke and I. Till next time, go play some games.